Hey, so I'd like to talk about how to expand on basic chords. For instance, if you are a beginner and you've managed to figure out how to move these guys around, A minor, C major, and etc. So how do you start making melodies out of these chords? And how do you start being creative with basically what you got without overcrowding your mind with a whole lot of information? Because believe me, there is a lot of information when it comes to figuring out the fretboard, but there's also logic to the madness, right? So for instance, you all know the A minor chord. So what usually would be the practice, you would have to figure out an arpeggio, which is this chord divided into, what's the word? Shit, not divided, but like laid out note by note, right? The notes that make up the chord. So it's what you really need to know is like A minor is consisting of A, C, and E, and then it just goes over and over through another octave: A, C, E, and then again A. I'm looking at the camera and the picture's running late, so it's fucking with my mind. And then C, yeah. So. But if you're a beginner, of course, it all sounds like, what am I supposed to be, Yngwie Malmsteen all of a sudden? So to avoid this common trap of just repeating the hell out of something, not that this is not good if you're like a little bit autistic, like I am. Like I used to spend hours and hours, and I mean like on repetitive stuff, just because it just eased my mind in a way. It made me concentrate or just like forget about shit that was bothering me at the time. So, but how can you use it creatively? I mean, how can you turn this into something else? Especially if you want to write a song. And so what I would do is I would just basically try to like lift each finger. Can you see this? Is this better? Like, lift it on the D string, on the G string, C string, and this would be like the beginning thing that I would do. So I would just and you'll hear it. I mean, you'll hear it in all of country music, acoustic pop, folk, I don't know, like first thing that comes to my mind. And then when I figured that out, I would maybe I would play string at a time. So there's already a little scale going on here. So you basically have to fill out the blanks, right? To make it sound more complete, I guess. So the A note is the, is the note that gives this name the chord. This chord the name. My God. So what I would do is like I would try and find just feel them out. So I'm using the fourth finger, A string, 3rd fret. So this is C. So you already got this little Western cowboy thing going. As you can see, I'm going from A to G. So So I'm making the G my turnaround. Don't want to get into that. Why? Because I just am. And for now, so if I added a note on the low A string, I'm keeping these fingers like this for now because I don't want to switch from the chord. That's the whole point. I just want to make something out of this position. Make something more out of this chord, right? So this finger is obviously free. So the bottom two strings you get 3rd fret, 3rd fret, and the top two strings you get. And I'm still looking at the chord, I'm still looking at the shape here, trying to memorize it, you know. So this is, you know, this is basic pentatonic scale, I would have to say. What I would do is, like, I would take a piece of paper, I would put, you know, write out the tab lines, 6 lines, and I would just, you know what, I would just, if I find something, if I find this like amusing and I just want to write it down, I would write it down. Just this little lick, and then maybe, I would write down these two things, or maybe, yeah, and then I would try it, like I would get away from the chord shape, and I would just try to play it. So I'm missing this finger, right? So these are the things when you write it down, like when you write down what you're actually playing, you will be able to see much more clearly what's going on, because sometimes this thing, you know, the shape, you view the shape as a fixed thing, and then you view these as add-ons, which they are. But once you write them down, you have a much more, it looks much more like a scale, you know, it's linear. So for instance, I like this. So I would write down basically D string 0, 2, G string 0, 2, and then I would write down I would just put A minor after that. Of course, try to remember the rhythm, and then just write this down. 3, 0 on the E string, high E string, and then 3, 1 on the second string. And then when you ditch the chord shape, right, then you have this. So I already have scale forms, right? I have a scale. Oops. There you go. We went in. We're slowly venturing into A minor. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, try to, well, there's always going to be, you know, whatever melodic line you're going to pick to play, there's always going to be a chord behind it. And you have to, the melodic line has to somehow suit the chord that's being played, you know, behind whatever you're playing. So my logic is to learn the scales through chord shapes. And this is, for instance, this is one of the ways that, see, remember from the beginning of the video. So what else? F on the first string. Okay, so this note does not belong to A minor, but if, for instance, if you're, okay, upgrade to the existing material. So if you're Basically, if you can lift this finger and you get a whole note interval here. This is a whole step. So I can use the note in between chromatically to connect it. So. Now what you got to figure out is what suits your ear the best. This is what I try to encourage all my students. It's just like, you be the judge. You'll be the judge of what fits you at a certain period in your life. And I don't care if you're a beginner. Like, try to use whatever you learn. If you learn a progression as simple as this. A minor, C, F, and G, right? If you use a simple progression such as this, just try to, same thing applies. If you're on A minor, you go to C major, same thing. Just see what happens when you lift those fingers, and then you see whichever note, so I'm adding G. So I'm adding G on the top E, F, letting go E, because C major is actually the first, the root note is C, major third is E, and then you have G, and then again C, E, G. So this finger on the E can also go, of course, see? Nothing is fucking preventing you to do this. Nothing. Don't be afraid. It's not like if you move your finger, there's gonna be like a, like a bomb is gonna go off or whatever. Just, stick the finger wherever you want to fucking stick it. That didn't sound right. But you get what I mean, right? Same thing here. So this could be like... Okay, so what I have here now, I have F. I just put this. You can analyze all this stuff later. Once you like realize, okay, what is this? So you write it down, and there's a website that I use quite frequently when I do lessons, and it's called, wait a minute, it's very, very useful. Reverse guitar scales. Actually, it's called www.all-guitar-chords.com. And then you have, on the menu, you have guitar chords, guitar scales, chord progressions, glossary, songs, blah, blah, blah. So basically, there's a picture of a guitar neck, and you can, it's just a very clean layout of each scale, each chord shape, and very, very useful to have a visual aspect, I guess. Fuck, my brain is not working. Not my native language, you can tell. Visual aspect of what's going on the fretboard. So I'll be posting a link below. All right. So yeah, we can take any of these chords. Like, look at E minor, for instance. And some of these things are going to sound natural because, pentatonic scale is the most simple, I guess, natural sounding thing on the planet. That's why everybody used it, from the Japanese, Chinese to like Africa and all over the world. not to get into the history of stuff. But yeah, I mean, and then when your ear gets used to playing around these, and I always say just write it out, just to have clear picture of what's going on, you know. F major, because we have a small bar chord here, right? Actually, it's an interval, it's not a chord. So you have see? So I have this. Violent femmes, but I don't think they're playing it. I think they're playing it from... I think it's C. But yeah, like very, very simple stuff can be, you know, small changes from a regular chord shape can be used as, you know, as a trigger for a really great idea, creative idea, yeah. It doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to be, you know, all over the neck. And I think once you realize that, like, all of these chord shapes, we find all of these chord shapes, see? We find all of these chord shapes around the neck. They're just repeating in different tonalities. Then you can just copy the pattern. But I think understanding what you're playing is the key. But like approaching this from a position where you're just like, the way I've been taught is like you have modes like C major, Ionian mode, and you know, you have to memorize that, and then you have to memorize this, and nobody told me like, look dude, they're fucking connected to a chord, you know. At that time they didn't tell me that, so it was just very complicated for me to just you know, there were just notes hanging in midair, you know, and basically then you would find yourself gravitating towards, you know, a few pentatonic, you know, shapes, and yeah, that's it. So hope this is helpful, and this was helpful, and it will be helpful. And pause, rewind, review, ask questions. I don't know. There's a ton of videos. I mean, I'm not saying anything new. I'm just thinking like how to, you know, how to make the process a little bit more enjoyable, because I see people who want to learn guitar, but they're afraid to be creative, you know. I'm not saying that everybody wants to be creative. Some people just want to learn an instrument to play, like reproduce other people's songs, and that's all right. But I think, you know, if you started to, you know, learn and dabble in guitar or whichever instrument, I think you just want to figure out how to use it under your own terms, you know, whether it's just like this very simple thing, or you end up playing very complex jazz or whatever sort of progressive style of music you set your goal to be. I mean, yeah. Okay, enough. Bye.